The night was colder than usual for late spring in Boston. The wind swept through the empty university parking lot, rattling loose flyers pinned to the light posts, making the shadows stretch unnaturally long under the harsh orange lamps. Michael Carter sat behind the wheel of his old Honda Civic, engine idling, eyes fixed on the towering library across the street. His wife, Jessica, had texted him hours earlier. "Don't wait up. Big study session tonight. Finals week. Love you." But Michael wasn't at home. Something, an unease that had been gnawing at him for weeks, had dragged him here, to this very spot. He told himself he wasn't checking up on her. He trusted her. He wanted to trust her. Yet here he was, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles whitened. The minutes bled into hours. Students trickled out of the library in groups, laughing, yawning, clutching their laptops and energy drinks. But Jessica never appeared. Then, he saw her. At first, Michael's chest unclenched in relief. Jessica, in her familiar denim jacket, hair tied loosely in a bun, stepped out of the side entrance. She looked beautiful, even in exhaustion. He was about to start the car, ready to call her name, when the relief curdled inside him. She wasn't alone. A tall man walked beside her, his backpack slung over one shoulder. They were close, too close. Their hands brushed once, twice, before finally linking together like it was the most natural thing in the world. Michael froze. His throat went dry, heart pounding against his ribs like a war drum. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. He could only watch as Jessica, his wife, leaned her head on the man's shoulder, laughing softly at something he whispered. The two walked past his car without noticing. Michael's world collapsed in slow motion, his breath fogging the windshield as his eyes followed them into the darkness. He didn't confront them. He didn't honk. He didn't scream. Instead, Michael quietly shifted the car into gear, drove away into the night, and let the silence devour him. But in that silence, a question screamed louder than any siren. When did I lose her? Michael Carter was never the kind of man who believed in fairy tales. He grew up in a working-class family in Worcester, Massachusetts. His father was a mechanic, his mother a nurse, and life had always been about paying bills on time, keeping the car running, and making sure there was food on the table. Then came Jessica. They met at a small community event when he was 22 and she was just turning 19. She was radiant even then, the kind of girl who drew eyes without even trying. Jessica had ambition in her bones. She spoke of becoming a psychologist, of traveling, of doing things bigger than the small town could ever contain. Michael remembered thinking she was out of his league, but she laughed at his nervous jokes and held his gaze a second longer than she needed to. By the end of that summer, they were inseparable. He proposed a year later under the fireworks of the 4th of July, ring tucked inside the pocket of his jeans. Jessica said yes, tears in her eyes, whispering that he made her feel safe in a way no one else did. They married young, against the advice of friends who said they should wait. But Michael didn't care. He had found the one thing in life that made sense. From the beginning, he promised to support her dreams. Jessica wanted to attend Northeastern University in Boston, and Michael, already working 2 jobs as a delivery driver and part-time technician, vowed he'd make it happen. She would study, he would work. Together, they'd build the life they had imagined during late-night drives with the radio low and the windows down. For the first 2 years, that plan worked. Jessica excelled in her classes, soaking up knowledge with the same passion that had once been directed at him. Michael felt proud every time he told someone, "My wife's in college. She's going to be somebody." But, slowly, cracks began to appear. Hairline fractures in the picture-perfect life. It started subtly. Jessica stayed longer on campus, claiming she was studying with classmates. She joined extracurricular groups, psychology clubs, volunteer events. At first, Michael encouraged it. After all, she deserved the full college experience. But the late nights turned into early mornings. The texts became shorter, colder. Michael found himself eating dinner alone more often than not. The apartment felt emptier, though her books and clothes still occupied every corner. One night, he noticed a small detail that twisted his stomach. Jessica had posted a picture on Instagram, a group shot from a campus coffee shop. She smiled brightly at the camera, but Michael's attention snagged on the man sitting beside her. His arm was almost cropped out of the frame, but Michael could see it draped comfortably on the back of her chair. When he asked about it casually the next morning, Jessica brushed it off. "Oh, that's Ethan. He's just in my study group. You know how people crowd in photos. Don't overthink it." Her tone was dismissive, almost irritated, and Michael swallowed the unease. He told himself he was imagining things, that stress made him suspicious. But the doubts piled up. She started guarding her phone, angling it away when he walked past. Once, when he picked it up to check the time, she snatched it back too quickly, laughing nervously. "Privacy, babe." Michael wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe the girl who once promised under fireworks that they'd face everything together. So he buried the suspicions deep inside, forcing smiles and swallowing the ache. Yet every time Jessica kissed him goodbye with lips that no longer lingered, every time she said, "I'll be late, don't wait up," the fracture lines in Michael's heart spread wider. The first time Michael heard Ethan's name again, it was slipped into conversation so casually it almost didn't register. Jessica was making coffee on a Sunday morning. "Oh, Ethan said he might help me prep for the cognitive psych exam. He's good at making study guides." Michael raised an eyebrow. Ethan, the guy from the coffee shop picture. Jessica turned, mug in hand, expression unreadable for a fraction of a second. Then she smiled. "Yeah, he's just in my group. Don't get jealous, okay?" Her tone was teasing, but Michael noticed how quickly she changed the subject afterward. That's when Ethan became a fixture in Jessica's stories. Ethan said this in class. Ethan's hilarious. Ethan found this great cafe near campus. Each mention was small, but they collected like drops of water in a leaky ceiling. Michael worked long shifts, coming home exhausted, only to find Jessica already asleep, or pretending to be. On weekends, she was busy with projects. The warmth that once defined their marriage cooled into something distant, fragile. One evening, Michael drove into the city to surprise her with takeout from her favorite Thai place. He thought maybe a small gesture could bridge the growing gap. But when he reached the psychology building, he saw her through the glass lounge windows. She wasn't alone. Jessica sat on a couch, notebook open, laughing at something Ethan said. Her hand brushed his arm lightly, too lightly to mean nothing, too naturally to mean everything. Michael stood outside in the cold, Thai food cooling in his hands, a lump in his throat. He didn't go in. He just turned around, got back in his car, and drove home in silence. That night, Jessica returned late. She kissed him absently, the scent of someone else's cologne faint on her clothes. Michael lay awake long after she drifted off, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince himself he was paranoid. But deep down, he knew. The betrayal wasn't sudden. It unfolded like a cruel, deliberate play. It began with secrecy. Jessica started locking her phone. She claimed it was for security, but Michael noticed her smile linger too long when notifications popped up. Then came the lies. Study session, group project, volunteer work. Each excuse chipped away at the foundation of their marriage. One rainy Thursday night, Michael left work early. He wanted to prove his suspicions wrong, to see Jessica at the library where she claimed she'd be. But the library was nearly empty when he arrived, just a few students packing up for the night. No Jessica. He wandered the halls, heart pounding. Then he saw her through a classroom door's narrow glass pane. Jessica sat on a desk, Ethan standing between her legs. Their faces were close, their bodies closer. And then, Without hesitation, she kissed him. The world shattered. Michael's breath caught in his chest, his knees weakened, he gripped the wall to keep from collapsing. It wasn't just a kiss, it was the intimacy, the familiarity that gutted him. Jessica kissed Ethan like she had kissed Michael once when they were young and madly in love. He turned away, bile rising in his throat, and staggered out of the building into the rain. The city lights blurred as tears mixed with the downpour. He drove home in a daze, every mile heavier than the last. That night, Jessica returned around midnight, her hair damp, her eyes bright in a way Michael hadn't seen in months. She crawled into bed beside him, whispered a tired "love you," and fell asleep. Michael lay awake long after she drifted off, staring at the ceiling. Once suspicion turned to certainty, Michael began noticing everything. The way Jessica smiled at her phone, the way she hid her laughter, as if sharing a secret world he no longer belonged to, the way she avoided eye contact when he asked simple questions. One Saturday morning, while she showered, Michael unlocked her laptop. She'd left her email open. And there it was. Dozens of messages exchanged with Ethan. Long paragraphs of jokes, confessions, and late-night longing. He read lines that carved into his soul. "I feel alive with you. Michael doesn't get me the way you do. Last night was perfect." His hands trembled as he scrolled through their stolen world. Photos, plans, whispered declarations meant for someone else. When Jessica emerged from the bathroom, towel around her hair, Michael was still sitting there, laptop open, face pale. She froze, color draining from her cheeks. But he didn't speak. He just closed the laptop, stood, and walked out. The silence was worse than screaming. 3 nights later, Michael planned the confrontation. He made dinner, her favorite, lasagna with garlic bread. He poured wine, set the table, lit candles. Jessica came home, surprised. "What's the occasion?" Michael smiled faintly. "Just wanted a nice dinner." They ate in silence. Jessica fidgeted, sensing the tension. Halfway through, Michael reached into his pocket, pulled her phone, and placed it on the table. The screen glowed with a message from Ethan. "Can't stop thinking about last night." Jessica's fork clattered to her plate. Her face went pale. Michael's voice was calm, almost gentle. "How long?" She opened her mouth, closed it again. Tears welled in her eyes. "It's not what you think." "Don't lie." His voice cracked, but he didn't raise it. "Just tell me how long." Jessica broke then. She covered her face, sobbing. "Months, since the fall semester. I didn't mean for it to happen." Michael stared at her, the woman he had once promised to protect and cherish, now a stranger across the table. "Why?" he whispered. Through tears she choked, "I felt invisible. You're always working, tired, stressed. Ethan made me feel alive again. I'm sorry, Michael. I still love you, but Michael raised a hand. "Stop." The room was silent except for her sobs and the faint crackle of the candle flames. He stood, walked to the sink, and quietly said, "Love doesn't betray." Jessica begged for forgiveness. She promised to end things with Ethan, to rebuild what they had broken. But Michael knew something fundamental had shifted. Trust, once shattered, couldn't be glued back together without showing every fracture. He packed a small bag that night. She followed him to the door, pleading, but he only said, "I gave everything to us, and you gave it away." Then he left. For weeks, Jessica texted, called, begged. Michael didn't answer. He moved into a friend's apartment, filed for separation, and began the painful process of reclaiming himself. On campus, Jessica continued her classes, but whispers followed her. Ethan, once bold, grew distant, unwilling to build a future on broken vows. Eventually, he faded too, leaving her alone with regret. Michael, meanwhile, discovered strength in solitude. The pain was raw, but it forged him into someone stronger, someone who knew his worth. One evening, months later, he stood on the same campus parking lot where it had all begun. The library lights glowed, students streamed in and out, laughter echoing in the night air. He remembered the night he saw Jessica with Ethan, the night his world crumbled. But now, instead of pain, he felt clarity. Some betrayals don't destroy you, they remake you. And as Michael turned away from the library, walking into the unknown, he knew he wasn't the broken man who once sat in that car. He was something new. Someone free.